Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Don Ulrich, President and CEO, Houston First Corporation.
Good morning. Good morning, and Happy New Year to everybody. It's a tradition at Houston First to do a New Year, New You event, and we're so happy to have you all with us today as we do something a little different than we've done in the past. And to get started, I'd like to introduce the folks that are here today, beginning with the board of the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Will you all stand? Will the board of the... Yes, there they go. The board is led by Nick Massett, who's raising his hand and waving. Nick, raise your hand and wave. There we go. There we go. We're also joined by the board of the Hotel Lodging Association of Greater Houston. Would they please stand? Yay. The board is led by the chairman, John Keeling, and by executive director Stephanie Haynes, who is now raising her hand. There we go. And the Hilton Americas executive staff. Will they please stand? There they are. And that staff is led by Joe Palmieri, who's the general manager. There, he's raised his hand. Good. We're also joined by the members of the board of the Houston First Corporation, and ask them to stand individually as I call their name. Phyllis Bailey, Alex Brennan Martin, haven't seen Alex yet, Katie Caldwell, Cece Connor, Fernando Cuellar, Irma Diaz Gonzalez, there she is, Harry Greenblatt, Winslow Jeffries, Councilmember Dave Martin, who's not with us, Desiree Morgan, I haven't seen Desiree, Councilmember David Robinson, David Solomon, Gerald Womack, and Chairman Rick Campo. The balance in the folks in the room should be Houston First staff people. So I'd like to call them up by department and ask each department to stand when I call their name. First at the Convention Center Department, led by Luther Villagomez, who's going to raise his hand high. Convention Center Department, please stand. There they are. There they are in the back there. Okay, the Cultural Services and Facilities and Services Department, led by Mario Ariza. There's Mario. Very good. Very good. Welcome. Next, the Enterprise Development Department, led by Peter McStravick. Great. The Visit Houston Division is led by Mike Waterman, who's the Executive Vice President of Houston First, the President of the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau. That includes Destination Sales, led by John Solis. Would you all please stand? Destination Sales? Yay. And Destination Services, please stand and raise your... Terry Butler, please raise your hand. All right. And the Tourism Department, led by George Franz. Tourism Department, please stand. The Marketing and Communications Department, led by Holly Clapham-Rosenau. Marketing Department, please stand. Corporate Affairs, led by John Rolfe. Corporate Affairs. There they are. All right, great. Finance Administration, led by Brenda Bazan. The General Counsel's Office, led by Lisa Hargrove. Information Technology, led by Marianne Grant. There they are. And finally, Public Affairs, led by Rob Jackson. Public Affairs. There they are. They mixed and mingled there. Okay, good. Very good. And finally, a new division, the Regional Product Development Division, Roxanne Okunvik, Paul Ellison, and Julie Gordy. Would you please stand? You'll be hearing a lot more about their work in the months and weeks to come. And now it's my pleasure to once again introduce Rick Campo. And as he's making his way up here, let me tell you a little bit about him. Rick is a busy guy these days. Of course, his day job is the chairman of the board and chief executive officer of Camden Property Trust, a position he's held since 1993. Camden is one of the largest multifamily real estate investment trusts in the U.S., with nearly 58,000 apartment units and 1,800 employees nationwide in 9 states and the District of Columbia. He is also a Fortune 100 company and listed as one of the best companies to work for 8 years in a row, a fact that he's justifiably proud of. But his work doesn't end there. He holds strategic roles in the real estate industry, as well as in various organizations in this community that work for the betterment of Houston, including the Center for Houston's Future, the Greater Houston Partnership, and the Greater Houston Community Foundation. That long list leaves out his major role as chairman of the host committee for the Super Bowl 51, now just a little more than 1 year away. He's truly a civic leader and a friend to all of us, and so it's my pleasure to welcome Rick Campbell.
Well, thanks, Dawn, and welcome everybody today. This is the New Year, New You, right? We've done that a couple of years here, and it's been kind of fun. And I love the idea or the theme of the conference, the determine your purpose, right? So it's an interesting thought when you think about that. What is your purpose, and what are you here for, and why do you do what you do? And you know, it's an interesting thing to think about. So I came from Commissioner Franco Lee's funeral today. Earlier. It was at 10 o'clock. The line to get into the church was 1.5 blocks long. And then once I finally made it in, I couldn't get into the actual church part. I got into the place where you could see it on video. And there was, I think it was Cardinal Fiorenzo talking about his work and his life work. And they talked about things that he did for a public purpose to make people's lives better. So when we start thinking about how what our purpose is, and you come from, I'm coming from a funeral to an event that we're going to be upbeat, and we're going to talk about the future. And when you think about Commissioner Lee, I mean, he was healthy, he was vibrant, he was involved, and all of a sudden he's gone that fast. That's how fast and fleeting the world can change for you and a lot of other people in this room. Hopefully no one today or anytime soon, but I think the idea behind the purpose is really interesting, because if you think about purpose is about what you do every day and how you affect people around you every day. And when we think about what we do fundamentally, so we live, work, and play, right? And we make our community better. That's the whole idea, is making people around us better, making our community at large better, and that's what people in this room do. When I talk to my people at Camden, and you think about Camden, and we provide a pretty basic service, apartments, homes for people. And what I tell them is, it's really important for you to really think about, that's a calling. That's a really important thing, because memories are made in people's homes. Their families get together in their homes, and they create long-term memories and value propositions. So it's really important for you to understand that memories are really what it's about, and creating those memories for people to have a great life. And that's what people in this room do too. You all can create memories, because if you think about it, whether it's a hotel or whether it's a restaurant, I mean, you go out on a Friday night date night, I mean, you might create a memory and get married or something, right? You might go to visit family and stay in a hotel. You might go to a conference and learn something. And when you think about learning, we're all about learning. If you don't continue to learn and you're not a lifelong learner, you're going to get left behind. I have to continue to recharge my learning and understand new things that are coming on, because we know the world changes in front of us so fast, it's amazing. So let me give you an example of conference. So we do a lot of conferences here. So in 1993, I went to a conference, unfortunately it was in Dallas and not in Houston. And so I flew up to Dallas, and I spent the night there, and I spent my night in a hotel, and I took a cab to the conference. And I was having a challenging financial issue. I had a partner in New York who controlled my business, basically. He was my 80% partner. I was a 20% partner. It was a pretty big business at the time. We had 250 employees and about $500 million of properties. And he said to me, you know what, I think the real estate market is crashing. I think interest rates are going to go up. I want you to sell everything. And when you sell everything, you have to fire all your employees and move on and go to the next deal. Now, I would have done fine personally, and a lot of my people would have done fine. But my 250 people would have had to go out and get another job. So I go to Dallas and I go to this conference. And there was a guy who was speaking, and he talked about this new wave of public securitization of real estate. In Europe, most of the real estate is owned by public companies or securitized via Wall Street. In the US, it's mostly privately owned. And he said, you know what, there's going to be this massive wave of securitization, and you better get on the bandwagon for that as fast as you can. And so I went up to him afterwards, I gave him my card, he gave me his card, and then I called him, and he was really, really smart. And I got everything out of his head I possibly could in about a month. And then I became smarter than him. And then from this perspective, from being a company on Wall Street, and I started the process in April of 1999, and I went public in July of 1990. April of '93, and then went public in July of '93. And that public offering was about $250 million, and we had about $300 million of real estate. Today we're $10 billion. We had 250 employees. Now we have, with our development pipeline, about 10,000 employees. It was because I went to a conference in Dallas and I heard somebody speak. It sparked an idea. It helped me solve a problem. And here I am today. If I hadn't gone to that conference and I hadn't been, somebody marketed it to me, obviously, and we market our conferences, we market our hotels and how we do business. And if I hadn't gotten that, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today. So what we do every single day, everybody in this room, whether you be a marketing person or a IT person or a hotelier or a restaurateur, you're creating memories and value propositions for people that you don't even have a clue you're doing. And you're doing it by what you do every day. And I think that's really important, and that's something that you should be really proud of. So when you think about what we're trying to do here, we're all trying to make Houston better. And our community's better, there's no question about that. So let's sort of look back a little. It's always great when you think about New Year, you gotta kind of take stock of what you did last year and then focus on what you're gonna do in the future. And so if you think about in 2015, it was the first full year that we brought the two organizations together, Houston First and the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau, or Visit Houston. And it was started out, a little uncertainty, and how's it going to go, and how are people going to act, and how's it going to work, and there was a lot of pensive people and worried about how it would happen, and I think it turned out pretty good. And when you think about what's going on in Houston today, Galen, oil and gas price is pretty tough, right? And the hotel occupancy taxes have actually gone down, and we missed our budget in 2015. From our original budget for hotel occupancy taxes, which drives all of our business. And so when you think about that, generally what happens in that environment is you have budget cuts, oftentimes staff reductions, because you have a finite number of money that comes in from the hotel occupancy taxes. So what we thought was, if you brought two separate organizations together and made them one and created a broader revenue model for both organizations, you wouldn't have to do that. You wouldn't have to cut budgets or staff during tough times, when you need to market harder during the tough times than you do during the sort of the really good times, right? And so what we did is, instead of cutting budgets, we actually increased the budgets and increased the staff, because we know that's the right thing to do, and the teams working together create more value than the teams working apart. And that's what we did in 2015, and the teams, you all did a great job gelling together. And as a matter of fact, when you think about the results, you can say, okay, we're all hunky-dory, happy people and all that. But let's just think about what happened. So in 2014, we booked 569,000 room nights. In 2015, with the leadership of John Solis and his team and Mike Waterman, we booked 733,000 rooms, which is a 29% increase. I mean, come on. That's awesome. And you're talking about when Houston was getting all this bad press for oil prices and everything else, right? And so I think it's just amazing when you think about that kind of planning, the hard work and sweat equity that was put in place by everybody in this room and all the leadership to come into that and to crystallize that this would be a good thing for us to do, and it's evidenced by the results of our sales team. So thank you very much for doing that. The other thing, when you start thinking about 2015, that's in the rearview mirror, and we now need to look about 2016, and that is that we need to really focus on the purpose of each individual department. Each person needs to understand their place, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have a really important role to play in helping your department go forward into the future. And so I think that's really important, especially when you think about what's in front of us in 2016. So everyone knows here we have the Final Four coming, right? I mean, it's coming fast. And I remember when you start thinking about how fast things come, it seems just like, when we think about the Final Four a few years ago, we got the bid and then we kind of get along, and all of a sudden here it is, right? And the same thing with the construction that's going on at the GRB. Marriott will open. We'll have another, I think, with the Marriott, around 2,500 new hotel rooms that will open in downtown, taking us to the highest level that we've had forever here in Houston. We'll complete the George R. Brown Convention Center with the reimagining the larger convention district and making it a destination, not just for people coming to conventions or tourism, but for locals. And that, to me, is really the thing that really excites me the most. I mean, for sure, we want to fill up the hotel rooms, fill up the restaurants, but we also want people from Sugarland to go, I hadn't been down to Discover Green or the convention district. I think I need to go down there. I heard it was really cool. I heard they have new restaurants. There's a lot of good street activity going on. There's some new retail going on at the Green Street. And so to me, those are getting the locals down here is one of the most important things, because there's so many people that just don't come downtown or to the convention district because they're afraid of it. They don't know where to park or whatever. I think that when we get this done here, it's a game changer for people in Houston. And then, of course, we have, Don mentioned the Super Bowl coming in early 2017. We have today, I think, 21 full-time Super Bowl host committee employees, and we're going to grow that at probably another 8 or 9 people. Massive amount of work. And when you think about the Super Bowl host committee, the Super Bowl host committee is dead without Houston First. Houston First is the glue that connects all the different folks for the Super Bowl host committee, and given the GRB and the proximity to Discover Green and all that. So it's really important for the Houston First people to step up and to be really focused on the Super Bowl. And when you think about all of these things, it's all about understanding our purpose, to create memories and value and create a positive environment for people to do well in our region, both visitors and for the local people. And that's really what the broader purpose is, and then individual purposes can be sort of wrapped around that idea. So today we have our speaker, who is Roy Spence, and he's going to talk about purpose. And great speaker. Roy is co-founder and chairman of GSD&M, a leading marketing, communications, and advertising company. He is also co-founder and CEO of The Purpose Institute, a consulting group that helps people and organizations discover and live their purpose. Along with Haley Rushing, Roy co-authored the Wall Street Journal best-selling book, It's Not What You Sell, It's What You Stand For: Why Every Extraordinary Business is Driven by Purpose. And most recently, he authored The 10 Essential Hugs of Life, a collection of heartwarming reminders about the need for gratitude, love, and goodness. And I love this book. We actually use it at Camden because we have a major hugging culture, and we have to, when new employees come in, they have to really understand that they're going to get hugged, and they need to understand exactly how to do it and do it right. You have some unwanted you got to be careful on how that works, but this book is great on that. Under Roy's leadership, his agency has helped grow some of the world's most successful brands like Don't Mess with Texas, Southwest Airlines, Walmart, DreamWorks, the PGA Tour, BMW, the U.S. Air Force, and LL Bean. Roy also has been a trusted advisor to legendary leaders, including Sam Walton, Southwest Airlines founder Herb Kelleher. His counsel has also been sought by U.S. presidents and leaders in the State Department. Roy's passion is entrepreneurship. He deeply believes in entrepreneurship, and that is the miracle of America that's made America. His mantra is, don't do mild, work in life, follow your dreams, follow your passions, and follow your purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Roy Spence. Roy, where are you?
Give me a hug, buddy.
Thanks, Roy.
Thanks for being here, man. Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Rick, for that great introduction, although well-deserved. Anyway, I'm just saying. By the way, Colleen Barrett at Southwest Airlines used to say, hug but don't linger. But it is great to be here, Dawn and Rick and everyone. It's wonderful to be in this, Austin's favorite suburb. I'm just saying. But it is good to be here. Anybody from Austin? Never mind. Anyway, it was 1994, the year after you went public. There was a guy named Kenny Smith, Mario Ellie, Robert Ory, Clyde Drexler. By the way, I have no notes, so stay with me. Vernon Maxwell, and that guy named Akeem. And I was doing the marketing and advertising for the Rockets, and we made the playoffs. So I flew down here on Southwest Airlines, my client, and met with the marketing team, and I said, I don't really live here, I have a lot of friends here, but we've made the playoffs here, and I think we need to do a TV spot to really not use it right now, but do a TV spot in case something goes wrong, like instead of Clark City, we're Choke City like we normally are. And they said, oh, whatever. So I went back and I cut this TV spot. And you remember, no, most of you weren't born, but in 1976, there was a movie called The Network. Faye Dunaway, Peter Lynch, that great scene, Rick, where the newscaster's gone berserk. He's wet and he's bitching about the problems in America, and finally he says, I want everyone who's watching this to get up, follow me, and the cameras start following him down to the window. Go to the window or the ledge or the balcony and scream as loud as you can, I am mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. That was the inspiration for this spot that I did for the Rockets, so stay with me. We win Portland, and then we face the Phoenix Suns. They come down here at our hometown, at our home base, and they beat us 2-0. And I could hear the screams out there, I'm mad as hell, I can't take it anymore. We fly to Phoenix. The team's all tense, and Coach Rudy plays this TV spot to the team in the locker room. I went back, thanks to Paul, I went back and found it. You want to see it? 22 years ago, this spot ran right before the Rockets played Phoenix. So, Scott, if we could put it up, let's let people see it.
Just 4 seconds left on the clock. Rockets trailing by 1. Vernon Maxwell takes it left to right over the circle. Goes down to the dream underneath. Elijah Wan has it. Shake and bake right. Goes up for the shot. No good.
Oh, that's it. I just can't take it anymore.
The Houston Rockets would like to thank you for your support this season.
But wait, he was fouled.
Because everyone knows it's not easy being a sports fan in Houston.
One more chance, folks. Do you believe in miracles?
Okay. This is the true. Rudy plays this spot, and the players go berserk. Play it again, play it again, play it again. And he played it again. And we go and we win the World's Championship. And by the way, I have 3 rings in my lockbox in Austin. One given to me by Mac Brown and Vince Young when we won the national championship. And this 2 rings, the Houston Rockets World Championship rings. Can you get a close-up? Anyway. And by the way, all I'm saying, if there are any single women here today and you want to try it on, I'll be back. Anyway, so I'm the only non-coach player sponsor that has 2 World Championship rings. So here's what I'm thinking about the Texans and everything else. You know, sometimes Mickey Gilley is right. Y'all look and love in all the wrong places. You're looking for coaches and players. Hire my ass. We'll win a world championship. Anyway, okay. But it was the funnest times of my life. My 3 kids came with me and my wife. We'd stay at the Galleria. We'd go over to that game, and it was pretty fun watching. So I bring you greetings from Austin, Texas. live music capital of the world, home of South by Southwest, home of the Longhorn Nation, whatever. And it's kind of it's the Longhorn Village now. But anyway, we're coming back. Home of Formula One, the only registered racetrack. Anybody go to Formula One? Why? Anyway, also, if you can put the picture up here, home of me and, Scott put that picture up. Okay, me and Matthew, 2 months ago, introduced Willie Nelson and Stevie Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble, into Austin City Limits Hall of Fame. Austin City Limits, by the way, is the longest running TV show in America. You can put that down now, although the women might. So, I want to give a shout out to Houston first and visit Houston, but Houston first. Y'all have very aggressive goals. I think something like wanting to attract 20 million visitors by 2018. You're going to have some dips because the oil prices are going down and all that. Get over it, if you don't mind. Ann Richards used to come up to me and say, Precious, get over it and get on with it. We're wildcatters. That's what we are in Texas. We know the ups and downs. So Precious, get over it and get on with it, okay? You've got the Final Four coming up. You've got the Super Bowl coming up. So I just want to put a hats off to you guys for everything you do to promote Houston as one of the premier destinations in the world. And back what Rick was saying, you have a mighty purpose. You might not know it yet. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. But let me just tell you my little journey. I grew up in a little town called Brownwood, Texas, 140 miles north of Austin. My mom was a teacher. My daddy was a salesman. My dad had to drop out of school in the 7th grade in Eagle Pass, Texas, because of the Depression. He was 6'5". I don't know what happened to me. But his name was Roy, so he spoke Spanish before English, so he called me Royito all my life, little Roy. By the way, my dad passed away at 95. At 89 years old, he went back to high school and graduated. And I still have his graduation ring in my lockbox. And he voted himself most likely to succeed at 89 years old. He taught me 3 things. Be extra kind to everybody you meet, because everybody's fighting some kind of battle. Anybody see the movie King's Speech? Kings stutter too. Second thing he taught me, simplify your life. I screwed that up. But the third thing he taught me is don't do mild in life, Royito. You follow your purpose and your passion. So when he passed away, if we can put up this slide, I created my own line of hot sauce. Royitos. Serranos, natural tomatoes, lemon, and salt, and that's it. You can get it at Whole Foods, at Central Market. Anyway. But on the back, the reason I did this, Rick and guys, I have an Airstream, Royitos Airstream, and I'm from a $1 billion ad agency to trailer trash. I'm climbing down the corporate ladder. You know why? We got to inspire our young people to dream and build again. It's the miracle of this nation right now. We cannot let our young people think that they can't dream it and build it. So in the back of this jar, it says the purpose of Royitos is to inspire people to don't do mild in life. Follow your purpose and your passion. So go back, because I need the money. Anyway, we can take that down. So I come out of Brownwood. I go to the University of Texas. I meet my business partners there in 1972, before y'all were born. We started a business at the University of Texas at 19 years old. We did multimedia shows, meaning we did crazy soundtracks and slides, and every time we did one of these shows, thousands of kids would line up and pay us 50 cents or a brownie. It's America, we can talk about this. Anyway, I realized that maybe we could make a living doing what we love to do. So we graduated, and all 4 of us said, what are we going to do? And one of my partners said, well, why don't we go into advertising? I said, great, what is that? So I had a brand new tie-dye t-shirt. My ponytail was looking fabulous. I walked down to City National Bank and sat in this loan officer's chair. His name is John Oliver. This is 45 years ago. And he comes to me, he passed me on the shoulder, and he says, Roy, he didn't know my name. He said, I'm sorry, young man, do you have an appointment? And I went, no, but you're not like busy. And so I remember it. He said, so what do you need? And I said, I need $5,000 to start my business. And he said, what's your business plan? We want to like stay together. It's true. We want to like stay in Austin. And we want to make a difference and get rich. And he lent me the $5,000. And we paid it back a couple of weeks ago. It takes time to work through these financial things. And on the road to purpose, about 20 years ago, I'm at the reception in Austin. And I get choked, but a guy walks up and says, do you know that old man over there with the cane talking to everybody? You know who he is? And I said, yes, that's Robert Sneed. He's a lawyer in Austin, and he was a mentor of mine. He said, you remember that loan, $5,000 loan you got 30 years ago? And I said, like it was yesterday. And he said, do you know that he co-signed that note and didn't tell you? Because he wanted you to believe that you got it on your own. How hard is this? Someone does a favor to you, you do a favor to somebody else. Don't be like lined up when I leave because I've favored out. But then I'm 28 years old. Our company's just struggling like crazy in Austin. And for some reason, I meet this guy named Herb Kelleher. He had 28 airplanes. I beat his guy running for Congress, and he calls me up, and I thought he was going to chew me out. I'm 28 years old. He said, I want you to come see me. So I drive to San Antonio. That's where his law office was. I sat down with him. Long story short, he hired me to do his advertising, and I'd never flown. And we've been doing it for 35 years. He taught me great lessons. He taught me how to drink and smoke on the job, like he was the best. Y'all know him, right? I was introducing him into the National Hall of Fame 2 years ago, 10,000 people in New York. He got into the National Advertising Hall of Fame. And I introduced him, I said, I didn't know Herb drank until one day he came into a meeting sober. But you know what he did to Houston. Here's what he taught me. Take the competition seriously, but not yourself. Lighten up, people. And then on my neck is a symbol of every religion in the world. Just kind of cover my bases. No, the reason I have it, every religion in the world has a version of the golden rule. Treat people like you want to be treated. Next year, I'm 29 years old. I get a collect call. Young people don't know what that is. I get a collect call from a guy named Sam Walton. Collect, that cheap son of a bitch. He calls me collect. This is true. Brandy's here, her aunt. Karen has worked with me for 35 years, my assistant. I don't know where Brandy is. Hi. And she said, Roy, there's a guy on the phone, collect call from Sam Walton. I thought it was my daddy, you know. Hey, Pop, what's up? This is Sam Walton. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, are you kidding me? He said, oh, Roy, I like you already because my dog food is named Oh Roy. Can you come to Bentonville and help us like you're doing Southwest Airlines? I'm terrified. So I got borrowed another $5,000. I went from Austin to drove through Honky Town and Hall Guy and got to Bentonville. You remember those old briefcases we used to carry with nothing in them? So I'm walking in by myself. Sam is sitting where you are right there. I'm sitting here with a briefcase in front of my knees, and there's David Glass and all these other guys. So Sam looks at me and says, oh, Roy, so glad you're here, but where's the rest of your staff? I was frozen. Where's the rest of your staff? Finally, I just get it up and I said, well, you know, Mr. Sam, there's an old saying, one riot, one ranger. What kind of problem you got? It's in his book. One riot, one ranger, what kind of problem you've got? Sam falls on the floor. He grabs me by the neck and he says, "Oh, Roy, you're hired." 17 years I rode and drove with Sam Walton. Here's what, remember, he taught me this: curiosity, curiosity, curiosity. Curiosity does not kill the cat, it kills the competition. If you're out traveling, go find one city that's doing something better than we are. Come back and tell us. Sam used to say, don't ever pay for any ideas, just borrow them. And then when you're done, give them back. And I got lucky with Jim Collins and all of these other things. And so on the road to purpose, we're going to have a quick discussion on that. But before we do that, one quick story. I've been married for 38 years. And, oh, by the way, that partnership, Stay in Austin, Stay Together, 45 years later, we're all still together, all four of us, still in Austin. Still making a difference and still trying to get rich. But I told my wife that if we ever got married and we had kids, I would never, ever miss one of my kids' birthdays. Of course you wouldn't. But in Austin, it's not an advertising mecca. We have one client in Austin. It's sad that the people who know me the best don't hire me. But anyway, DreamWorks, the United States Air Force, John Deere, BMW, I mean, they don't call up and say, "Hey, Roy, can you come to Munich and is tomorrow one of your kids' birthdays?" So I didn't miss one with my two girls, and my son turned 15, and I was on this emergency filming, and I was going to miss his birthday. So I asked these two gentlemen to do something for me. So I'm going to play this little video, and then I'll tell you about it after Scott plays it.
Shay, first time I met your dad, he wasn't much older than you are now. I want to wish you a happy 15th birthday and say I hope you look as good at 56 as he does, and I hope you're a whole lot smarter.
Shay, there's the old guy here. My kid did all right, President of the United States, and with a dad like this, you got obstacles. We all know that, but I think you're going to make it. We've heard wonderful things about you. Happy birthday.
These two gentlemen had not talked in 5 years. And a tsunami hit 2,000 miles away. And I got called from the White House, and I called Papa Bush and Bill Clinton, and I said, would you do something together? And they did. They raised $2 billion in 3 days. That's what purpose looks like when politics is at its best. By the way, we're not going to ever get anything done on common ground anymore in America. We have to go to higher ground. The American people are tired of us building the partisanships, flying the special interest flags. They want us to build the ship of state again, flying the American dream flag. I just wrote that. That's good. Anyway, but it's true. Katrina happened. I get Papa Bush and Bill Clinton together. Remember, was it Andrew or Rita that was down here? Papa Bush calls. I get Bill Clinton to fly from New York down here to Houston, and I film him, and Bill Clinton said, I'm on the way to help you, Dad. He called him that. And then when Haiti happened, I got W and Bill together. I'm like the eHarmony for politicians. But it is about when America is better when we are laddering up to a higher purpose. Debate like hell how we get there, but don't debate the purpose of why we as a nation are here. So real quickly, let's get to the quick thing about purpose. We might as well go to the purpose of life. Okay, this is a big one. I'm buying into what my buddy Aristotle said. If you read Aristotle, and I actually understand what he talks about, I don't get Plato that much, but over and over again, Aristotle basically said, stay with me here, basically the purpose of life is to do good and be happy. Thank you. Do good and be happy. You don't have to listen to another TED Talk and play like you're enjoying it. Do good and be happy. By the way, if you're doing good and you're not happy, you're really tricking yourself. You're not doing good. I've been there. I was playing like I was doing good. And if you're doing bad and you're happy, you're doing drugs. But anyway, that's just another thought. So if you stay about here, and we're going to get to you guys here at Houston First. Do good and be happy. So how do you do good? And what is your purpose in life? Yours. Aristotle said it the best too. He said, where your talents and the needs of the world intersect, therein lies your purpose. Where your talents and the needs in the world intersect, therein lies your purpose. If that's so, how do you find your talents? Here's a quick story. Brownwood, Texas. My mother's a school teacher. You remember cursive? Okay. 8th grade, I turned in a blue book where you had to take the test actually in the class. And it was on Emerson. And I get it back, and I had 8 misspelled words, and there was a huge C-, red everywhere. I'm freaking out. C's were not like celebrated at my home. Mom didn't say anything. Next year, I'm in the 9th grade. I'm in Mrs. Levacy's class. Remember, I remembered her name. We're studying Emerson again. And I said to my mom, I can't do that. I'll make another C, whatever. She said, do the best you can. So I turned it in. And instead of having 8 misspelled words, I had 11. I still have them. The whole paper was red. And at the top of the paper, there was a tiny little A-. And I went home and remember kitchen tables? I put these on the table and I said, Mom, I don't get it. And she said, you can't spell. But she said, you can write. 14 years old. And she looks at me and she said, I don't want you to spend another second of your life trying to be average at what you're bad at. I want you to spend the rest of your life trying to be great at what you're good at. God made us all different, and we judge our children on standardized tests. God made us all different, and we judge our kids on standardized tests. We need to know what their strengths are, so kids can play to their strengths. If you can't spell but you can write, you need to know that. Instead of punishing kids on, I'm going to make you learn how to spell. I was writing a speech for the Clinton Global Initiative 2 days ago. I put initiative into spell check. It said no suggestion. How many y'all have kids? Please, favor, quit asking them what they want to do. Hell, you're old as the hills and you don't know what you want to do. Why don't you ask them a different question? Hey, what do you love to do? I want to tell you I love yoga. Let's go build a business. Swear. My son gets back from Tulane 2 years ago, cooks me and Mary a 4-course Italian meal. I said, Shay, what the shit you been doing at college? He said, watching the Food Network. So he went to culinary school, and now he's the assistant editor for food and entertainment at 24 years old at People magazine. Your kids can make a living doing what they love to do. Ask them what do they love to do, and then help them go make a living doing that. Does that make sense? What do we love to do? I'm going to tell you, and I really liked what Rick was saying about memories, and I'm going to ladder it up just a little bit to what you do every day. You can't have a handshake on Facebook. You can't Google a hug. You can't Twitter a real conversation. I think when y'all are at your best, every day you're waking up and you're saving and protecting and enable the old art form of face-to-face, hand-to-hand, arm-to-arm, heart-to-heart, mind-to-mind communication. Don't you give up. When Al Gore and I invented the internet, we had no idea it could become the most addictive substance ever invented. You've got to save the republic. When people come to events and sales conferences, it's hand-to-hand, it's face-to-face, it's mind-to-mind, it's heart-to-heart. We got to get people to look up. The average American looks at their mobile device. No one is now. Thank you, by the way. I guess because I'm fabulous. But anyway, 300 times a day. The average is 300 times a day. Y'all know it. You walk through your offices, what are people doing? You go to an airport, what are people doing? In fact, I'm going to play one little TV spot. We represent the American Institute of Architects. The campaign is called Look Up. Can you play that real quick, Scott?
We look up. We look up to nature, to art, and to history. We look up to discover limits and the ways around them. We look up so that we can see through your eyes. We look up because we know the world is counting on us to look ahead. The American Institute of Architects.
We're doing this for two reasons. We need to start a movement called Look Up. You hear me? You with me? Look up. I was going over the Grand Canyon in a helicopter about 2 years ago with my family, and the other families, everybody was on their phone. Look up. Okay, so if your purpose, your really highest, is to save humanity, I'm not shitting you, actually. I'm not kidding you, actually. Part of what we do, what you do every day, you bring 20 million visitors here. You bring conventions and Final Fours and Super Bowls. You remind people the power of face-to-face and heart-to-heart. You really do. And I want you all to think about that because it's a bigger purpose than you might ever dreamed of. And you do it, I have no notes, but here we go. With your vision to promote Houston is one of the premier destinations in the world, the place to be. You do it with your mission of enhancing the quality of life, advancing economic prosperity, and inspiring the world to think Houston first, inspiring Houstonians to think Houston first, and making damn sure everybody who comes here has a first-class hospitality experience, right? And you do it with your powerful values. Stay with me. This is if I get this, I get presents. You do it with integrity, and by the way, in the end, that's all that matters. It's the only thing that will take you down. You do it with integrity. You do it with a passion for Houston. You do it with your employee fulfillment. You do it with innovation. You do it with building a culture. By the way, the future is love cultures. Stay with me. Cultures of people that love what they do. You know why? They're playing to their strengths. If you have an associate that you're making them do something they're shitty at, stop it. We have doers and dreamers at GSD&M. The dreamers, we see the mountaintop, we just don't know how to climb it. The doers will climb all the wrong mountains perfect. Put them together. You're doing it with building a culture. You're doing it with collaboration, and you're doing it with a sense of accountability. Is that right? It is important for all of you who work with Houston First, not to think these are just words, because they're not. The winners in the 21st century will be driven by purpose and mission and values. You know why? Because everyone's going to know about everything. So if you ladder up and say, this is what we stand for, Houston, they're going to come. Good times and bad. Okay, real quick, why do you need purpose? It drives all decisions. Let me give you a quick example, and I'm going to move forward. Southwest Airlines, our purpose is to give people the freedom to fly. Two years ago, a big-time consulting firm comes in and says, all you have to do is flip a switch and you can throw $350 million to the bottom line. You don't have to do anything but flip a switch. Sam Walton used to say, you get 350 million here and another 350 there. It adds up to real money. So we said, what is that? All you have to do is charge for bags. That's it. Everybody's doing it. $350 million. So I stood up and said, well, Gary Kelly at the time, the CEO, and still is, I said, you can charge for bags, but that'll violate the purpose of the company. I'm not trying to be big shot here. If you charge for bags, that means a lot of people can't go to Disney World because that's the price of a ticket. So here Gary Kelly stands up and says, I'm not charging for bags, Roy, you go find the money. Hate that when that happens. You know what I'm talking about. So we went out and marketed. So Scott, if we could put up this first slide. By the way, how hard is this shit? They pay me a lot of money for this. Like red as a symbol of aggression or whatever. Okay, and then we're going to show you the TV spot, Scott, if we could.
Bye, bags! We love you! We love you!
I'm going to miss them so much.
Oh, I love those bags.
I love bags.
Bags are my life. Bags are my life. Bags are my life.
Hits you right here, doesn't it?
That's right.
We killed them. Here's what the CFO said when he came back a year. CFOs normally stutter when they say they're wrong. I was wrong. He said, I was wrong. He pulled out this big spreadsheet. Last year, we drove $1.2 billion in new revenue for Southwest Airlines. $1.2 billion charging for free. When you do the right thing, the world will notice. And that when we do the right thing, the world would notice. So what does it look like? I'm going to play a couple of TV spots. These are pro bono. That means that I don't charge for them. It's not a good business model. But I like to have our people tithe their talent. The first one is we did 10 days after 9/11, and I was worried in the process of getting back at our enemies, we might get one of us because we look different. So we did this spot, and it aired more than any PSA in the history of America. So this is what purpose looks like. If we could play those back to back real quick.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American. I'm an American.
I am 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 an American. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I
am
An American. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am America.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
used to always doing something with a cigarette. It can be hard doing it without one. But if you can learn how to drink coffee without cigarettes, then you can learn to do a lot of things without cigarettes.
It's good, it's true.
Mamas, tell all your babies, don't mess with Texas. Don't let them throw cans from them old pickup trucks. Don't let them throw bottles and papers and such. Mamas, tell all your babies, don't mess with Texas. Keep your trash off the roads and she's a fine yellow rose. Treat Texas like someone you love.
Hello, 911.
Someone's trying to break into my house.
Sorry, ma'am. Our local community college had its budget cut, so we're a little short on police at the moment.
What?
Yeah, do you happen to have a rolling pin or a golf club?
No.
Do you know any kicks or pressure holds? How about jujitsu?
Jujitsu?
Less support for higher education means fewer trained police. 83% of first responders are trained in community colleges.
Are you limber? Can you run?
America's colleges and universities. We teach the people who solve the problems and change the world.
Okay, thank you. The final reel I'm going to show you, these are clients built on purpose now, and they actually pay me. That's a good thing. So Scott, if we could run these back to back.
America's future will be determined by your dreams and your visions.
Some of you will fly the fastest planes that have ever been built, reach the highest altitude that man has ever gone to.
Whether you serve in the skies above or on the ground below, each of you has stepped forward to defend your country.
The American people support you, and they believe you truly do represent the best of America.
You say you're not from Texas, man, as if I couldn't tell. You think you pull your boots on right and wear your hat so well. So pardon me my laughter, as I sure do understand. Even Moses got excited when he saw the promised land. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. Texas wants you anyway. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. Texas wants you anyway.
Oh, thank you.
You're not as clean as you think. Aren't you glad you used Dial?
We let you check 2 bags for free because you plan to look this good all week. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Okay, that's what I do. In closing the last video, and by the way, before I do this one, would y'all give a hand to all the people who work audio visual, and Paul and Scott and everyone who you never see but makes this work? Thank you. So don't screw this last one up, Scott. A friend of mine, real quickly, about 2 years ago said, I'm going to send you a video. He was a senior VP of Walmart Worldwide. He retired. Steeped in purpose. And he said, I want to send you a video because this is what purpose sounds like. Once you listen to it, call me back and I'll tell you. So I'm going to play this last video. This is what purpose sounds like. And then we'll close out by letting me tell you why that is. So if we could play that last video, thank you.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her waiting on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. Well, she tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from the lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, baby, there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 and hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
So I called him the next day and I said, and I watch this every morning, by the way. He said, this is what purpose sounds like. First of all, everybody needs to know the words to the song. Secondly, you got to listen to one another. Thirdly, you got to step up when it's your turn. And fourth, it sounds awesome when you sing together. And then he had a parenthetical, and by the way, it really helps to have a good song to sing. We in Houston have a good song to sing. We got to all know the words. We got to listen to one another. We got to step up when it's our turn. Closing, one quick thing. I was in New York about 4 years ago, and I was late, and it was a hotel room, and thought I had a tough day. I haven't had a tough day since I came back from Haiti, by the way. We don't have tough days here. And the channel kept flipping back to this one channel, you know, that Nancy Grace channel. She's yelling at me, I hadn't done shit. I'm just in bed. The doctors are bad, the dogs are bad, the dentists are bad, the husbands are bad, the brothers are bad. And I said, that's not the America I knew. So I decided to walk across America. You can see the logic there. And I went home and told my wife she was gardening, and she said, whatever. So I took a backpack and 2 American flags. I had day jobs, by the way, and started walking across America. Up in New England, I went through 7 states, 20 miles a day with one kicker. I'm a walker, and I had a pedometer, and it beeped every mile. I had to take a picture of something good every mile. You remember your mom reading 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler? I had no idea what that meant until I'm all alone on the road for 20 hours a day looking for good. Here's what I now know. You become what you look for in life. If you look for enemies, you'll find them. If you look for hate, it'll live in your heart. If you look for gossip, it will consume you. If you look for fear, it'll follow you. But on that other road to purpose, if you look for friends, you'll be befriended. If you look for love, it'll lift you up. If you look for the truth, it'll set you free. And if you look for hope, it'll take you to higher ground. I was so pleased that y'all invited me into your family. Houston First, remember, enable, champion, promote, face to face, arm to arm, hand to hand, mind to mind, heart to heart communications. If you do that, you will serve your mighty purpose. So Godspeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Roy. On behalf of Houston First, we've got a little gift for you to thank you for presenting to us today. You're welcome. It's by one of our local artists. Thank you so much. You're welcome. So now is the chance for you all to relax and have some lunch. Thank you for joining us here today. We hope it's been a meaningful event for you. And we hope that in 2016 you'll find your passion, because we'll all be the better for it. So relax and enjoy lunch. Thank you.